Okay, so it's time for us to download Logic Pro X. Here we have the Apple App Store open up on our computer right now. And I just made a search for Logic Pro X. And you can ignore the Swedish text here just because I live in Sweden right now. So we have that text here. Yeah, and this is basically where you go and get Logic Pro X from. You just go to the App Store, search for Logic Pro X, and you will get this window here. So in Swedish, amount is this amount, and it should be around $199 US dollars for that. So it's somewhere around there. And for this course, we're going to use the version 10.3.2. So that is the version from July 18th, 2017. So if you have a version that is above this one, it can differ a bit of the instruction that we're going to go over this course. But every time there is a single update of the version in Logic Pro X, I'm going to make a video about that so we can adjust the differences of this course and the new version. So if there are some big differences, then I'm going to redo the whole course or section of the courses. But just so you know that you can proceed with this course even if you have another version. It's very important though that you have at least the version 10.3.2, and you should have that because if you buy Logic Pro X from the App Store, then you will have the latest updates here. So when you are done buying Logic Pro X from Apple Store, then the download will start. And the download for Logic Pro X is right now around 1 gigabyte. So it should take maybe half an hour or something like that, depending on your internet speed, of course. And the languages for Logic Pro X is English, French, Chinese, Japanese, Spanish, and German. So when you download Logic Pro X for the first time, you will get a window that I will show you. And the window looks like this, as you can see here. And it's downloading the essential sounds that you need with Logic. So even though you're downloading Logic Pro X from the App Store with that 1.3 something gigabytes, you will still have to download some essential sounds that Logic needs to run itself for. So when we are going over this one and just downloading it, you can go and watch this I am new to Logic Pro, or I have used Logic Pro before, and then we just get rid of this window. So if you're going to the I am new to Logic Pro, we will get some brief instructions here on how to do stuff basically in Logic. And I will go after this one here, so I will refer to this a lot in this course. And yeah, that is what the download does. So when the sounds are downloaded, the initial sounds, you will have still a good amount of sound libraries that you can download that comes with Logic Pro X. And by that, I mean sound libraries that are up to about 50 gigabytes worth of sounds. And they are included in the Logic Pro X when you buy it. So you can just download it on your computer and use it. And they are free to use, so you can use it inside your productions without anything to think about like copyright issues or something like that. So to find those sound libraries, you go to Logic Pro X in the menu here. Of course, you have to have Logic Pro X open. Then you go to Sound Library and open Sound Library Manager. And from this window here, you can go ahead and select all of the sounds that you want to have on your computer. And obviously all of these sounds are going to take up a lot of space. As you can see here, we have essential sounds. They are going to be installed in the beginning. But then you have the Alchemy sound libraries, and this is a plugin that is really good to use in Logic. This is a pretty new plugin that comes with Logic. It wasn't bundled before, but it is right now. So you get it basically for free when you buy Logic. And this one generates a lot of good organic sounds, like atmospheric or cinematic, and yeah, it's really awesome to use. So I definitely recommend you to just pick all of these sounds here and download it. Bass, you will have bass sounds like acoustic basses. Yeah, you can see here, install bass patches, EXS24 instruments and samples. And EXS24 is a sampler in Logic, so it's just playing sound files basically. It just doesn't like generate any sound itself. It's just playing audio files. So this bass installation pack here is real acoustic basses. Then we have cinematic, and that's installed cinematic synthesizer patches, EXS24 instruments and samples. So that's the same thing, but like cinematic sounds. Then we have the drum kit, and this is really good to have too. As you can see, there's a lot of different drums here, and this is real drums that are recorded in real studios, and it's free for you to use them in your productions, so it will sound like you have a real drummer there. Yeah, and you can use it in a also pretty new plugin in Logic called Drummer, and you have a lot of different options to get like your drum sounds to sound as you wanted them to sound. And it's a very intuitive kind of system that you can work with when making drum sounds. And I will of course go over all of this so you can see how to do this. So I recommend you to take all of these drums, and as you can see, they're taking up a lot of space. Then we have electronic drum kit, and that is the 808 or 909 kind of electronic drum kits, the real ones. So this is also audio samples. And this says installs patches, Ultrabeat settings and samples. And Ultrabeat is also a sampler. It's very similar to EXS24, but it's more flexible for kind of short drum shots. But I will go over Ultrabeat too, of course. Then we have percussion players and instruments. Same thing here, audio files. Then we have guitar. Installs all guitar patches, EXS24 instruments and samples. And by the way, guitar patches, if they're saying that it is patches, then it's the audio files plus some settings that someone that like work with the Logic Pro X app, when they like develop the sounds, then they added some different plugins to the audio files. And it's very good to just add them in there. So let's say, for instance, you're making your own guitar sounds, then you can import this guitar patch and use the same settings as they used in their guitar sounds. So you will have a very like, you know that you will do it the right way by just copying the settings of their guitar patches. So it's cool to have that too. Mallet, yeah, just audio files there. Then we have the orchestral, and here we have a lot of real sounds, orchestral sounds. And this is all going to EXS24. So EXS24 is just, as I said, audio files, and yeah, it's very nice to have them installed there. Piano, same thing here. This is just audio files, and these pianos are being used in a lot of different commercial radio songs that you hear out there, so these are good too. Then Vintage Mellotron, some sounds there too. Then we have the World, and these are different instruments, real instruments too, that are like from different part of the world. Then we have Apple Loops, and these are audio loops in different genres. As you can see, there's a lot of them, and yeah, these are very nice to have there too. If you're out of inspiration, you can just go to the Apple Loops and browse to the Apple Loops, and you will find very good sounds that you can use in your production, or just to have it like a song starter. So if you're out of inspiration, you can just import one of them, and it will inspire you to how to make the track that you want to make, you know. So then there are some reverbs here, and these reverbs are of course they are very nice, and it's a plugin called Space Designer in Logic, and it's very known for being really, really good. It's the only reverb plugin that you really need to have, and you don't have to buy any plugin or try something else. You know, you can just use the stock plugin, the stock reverb called Space Designer. So, and it doesn't take up that much space, so it's good to have there too. Then we have some called Legacy and Compatibility, and that is all the sounds from the Logic Pro 9 and 8. There's also from the GarageBand, and there are different nice sounds here too. And this is just made for the users that had the older Logic Pro installed, just so their project files open up in the new Logic Pro X. But I still find that these sounds are very cool, and this is also some Apple loops in there. So if you just take all of them like that, then you will actually have all of the Apple loops that Apple offer, and they are all free. If you could just click install, that will install everything, and it's just free because you bought Logic. So I really recommend to have everything installed. And I know this is about around 50 gigs, and then you have 1 gig also for Logic itself. So it will take up a lot of space on your hard drive. And nowadays with the SSD drives in like MacBook Pro, for instance, they don't have unlimited space, unfortunately. So if you have a hard drive like 256 gigabyte, this will take up like a fourth of your hard drive. So there can be a lot of different samples, but I'm going to attach a video in the quick tips where I will show you exactly how to move all of these audio samples to an external hard drive. So instead of having all of these sounds installed on your internal hard drive, the small one, you can just actually like buy a external hard drive. They are not like very pricey at all. You can have you don't have to have the SSD, the pricey one. You can just have a cheap external mechanical hard drive, and we can just copy all of these files to that one, and it will work really good too. Okay, so after that you just click install, and that will begin to download everything and install everything, and that itself take a lot of time, so you will have to be patient. So let's see you in the next part.